Hey everybody, welcome to the Patty G Show. I'm your host, Patty G. We are here with the myth, the legend that is Gaudin. We're going to talk about limousine services. We're going to talk about burial services. We're going to talk about shifting dynamics from one company to another company and how you make those assets work, and ultimately what it's like being in a family business and stepping out on your own. So before we get started and get into all of that, I want to give a big shout out to the amazing folks that make this show possible. Government Taco, Falaya Real Estate, Mallard Bay Outdoors, Horizon Financial Group, Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge, and Currency Bank. Without further ado, Kay, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Happy to be here.
That's awesome. I'm excited to have you. We were highly recommended by a certain individual who is prominent in the business community here in Baton Rouge, a bank teller, measly old bank teller here in Baton Rouge, your husband, Scott Gaudin. So I'm excited to hear about your businesses that you have and that you're a part of, not only by yourself, but also with your family. So for those that aren't aware, who are you and what do you do?
Sure. So I am Kay Gaudin, and I have a business with my father and my aunt called Limo. And it's a small business, and I have a 14-passenger bus and 2 8-passenger limousines.
Okay. And what types of services do you actually provide within this business?
So for my limousine and bus service, I do a lot of weddings. Primarily, that's the most requested need for a limousine would be your wedding day. Also do birthday parties. Prom season is really big for me as well. And it's pretty seasonal, I would say, the private sector of my limousine business. When fall comes around, people need transportation to football games and concerts, Christmas parties. And then in the spring, weddings are super popular. And then summer is very slow for me. There's not a lot going on. I always tell people that I have the schedule of a teacher, really, that I kind of get a little bit of downtime in the summer, because in the summertime, people are not looking to take a limousine or a bus for a night out on the town. They're going out of town. They're going on vacation. And so it's a really nice schedule that I have, because I'm able to work from home and be at home with my little boy in the summertime, which is a great perk of a working mom, to be able to have that flexibility and that extra time with my son.
So at home, what is it that you're working on, like planning the upcoming events, working calendars, answering the phone? What does that work from home schedule look like for you?
Yep. So I do everything. I answer the phones, I make all the reservations, I do the payroll, I schedule all of my fabulous chauffeurs. I am just sort of a one-stop shop, do it all. I don't drive very much. Sometimes I will drive. I will drive in the family component of my business, which is funerals, which is where my aunt and my father come into play. They're in the funeral aspect of the business. And sometimes I will drive a hearse on a funeral to help that part of the business out when needed.
Okay, so what exactly your family does? Funeral homes.
Yes.
So how was that like coming up within that family model business? Have they always had it? Is it recent?
Yes. So my family has been in the funeral business since 1850.
Okay.
So
That's
I am
quite a
actually,
long time.
it's really a cool thing. I saw an article just recently, the oldest businesses in the whole entire country, and my family was listed on that list, which is super cool. So I am 7th generation to be working in the family business. Now, my part in the family is a little bit different than my cousins or my brother or my aunt or my father. They all do just funerals. They are funeral directors. They work at the cemetery. They work at the cremation business. And I just provide the car service and the drivers for their funeral needs. And then my personal part, which is the fun part, is the weddings, the proms, the homecomings, the birthday parties, things like that.
So how did you end up with that side of the business? I mean, 7 generations, that's a lot of family members to be
Yes.
involved.
Sure, it is. And my major in college, I went to the University of Southern Mississippi. So that's go Eagles.
Go Eagles.
Which is really cool to go to college out of town. I think is really cool because most of my friends, almost everybody I went to high school with went to LSU, and I went somewhere else, which ended up being the best thing for me to do. And so I went to Southern Miss, and I got a degree in hospitality management and went into the hotel business. I was recruited out of college to work at Sandestin Golf and Beach Resort, which was a fantastic job right out of college.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Moving to the beach, getting to be a beach bum. Was in
Beach employee,
right,
beach bum.
right. Yeah, we'll see. It worked out great, and I lived down in Destin for several years. And meanwhile, my father kept saying, "Okay, you need to come home. You need to join the family business. You know, that's enough playtime over there in Destin. You know, you need to come home. Destin, that's not the real world," is what he'd tell me. And well, it's got to be the real world for somebody. It might as well be me.
Hey.
And he kept saying, "No, we'd love for you to come home and, you know, put your hospitality skills to work in our family businesses." And it just wasn't on my heart to be a funeral director. And I just said, "You know, Dad, I just don't think it's me. I'm a little too loud. I laugh a little too much. I don't know that I can really offer the sympathy that maybe families are looking for in that time of need. But if the limo job ever comes available, then let me know." And so after 6 or 7 years in Destin, the limo job became available. The manager that they had at the time left, and they said, "Hey, we'd like you to come interview for the job if you're ready." And at the time, I said, "You know, I think it might be time to come home." And so came home, interviewed for the job, got the job, and have been here ever since. They did. They did. They made me interview. There were other funeral homes involved in the decision. At the time, Pro Limo was comprised of 5 or 6 funeral homes because funeral homes don't need cars all the time. They may need them once a week, 3 times a week, 4 times a week. There's no way to tell. There's no way to predict that. And so a big group of funeral homes got together and bought all of these cars. So when I first started with Pro Limo, I had 8 limousines, 6 hearses, a sedan, a Yukon, and I dispatched those cars to funerals all in our region.
That's a fleet.
Yes. So
that is a huge fleet.
I had a warehouse in Denham Springs.
A warehouse?
Full of cars. And just went to work every day to this warehouse, brought my dog with me. I had a 100-pound black lab that I brought to work with me every day. The drivers loved her. It was great. And did that for a few years. And the scope of the funeral business has really changed over the past decade. People used to have really big funerals with a hearse and a procession and limousines, and now a large majority of people opt to be cremated. And so when you have that cremation, and if you have a celebration of life or you decide to have something after the fact, you don't need all those cars anymore. And so all the funeral homes that were owners in Pro Limo got together and decided, "Hey, you know, this is a big operation. We don't really need all this anymore. Let's just break up the business and we'll each take a hearse and a limo." And no one was interested in keeping the private aspect of the business alive. They just want to do their funerals, and they're not interested in proms and homecomings and weddings and football games. They're not interested in that. And but I was, because that's the whole reason that I had gone to the business to begin with. And so I had a talk with the board, and we decided that my family, we would like to keep the private sector of the business if that was okay with everyone. And so at that point, I bought into the business and bought the cars that would come to us and became an owner in Pro Limo.
Okay. So you bought into it once they decided this is too much of an operation.
Yes.
I mean, I get it. I always thought that the limo services went with the funeral home, so I guess there was a point in time where they weren't.
Right.
They were all contracted out through the same
That's right.
business that they all had ownership in.
That's right. And I still actually do funeral work for other funeral homes outside of my family's. So some of the funeral homes that were owners, they still rent from me when they have extra car needs, as well as some other local funeral homes that don't have, that don't own their own limos or buses or things like that. They still contract me out for their funerals. So I do a lot of funeral business during the week, and a lot of the fun stuff on Friday and Saturday night.
So which do you look forward to more? The during the week part or the weekend part?
I like the week part. I like the week part. Some Friday and Saturday nights I'm up pretty late.
I imagine so.
Checking in with drivers and making sure that my customers are safe and sound. And so as I've gotten older, those later nights are not as exciting to me as they once were, and I like to get to bed a little earlier. So the week works really well for me.
Yeah, I can. I don't blame you for that. That's look, 8:30, 9 o'clock. That's about the peak time in the evening in which I'll be awake.
That's right.
Before turning in. So I definitely understand the no longer looking for those 11, 12, 1 a.m. nights of making sure that the vehicles are back where they need to be, the customers got dropped off safe and sound, and just checking in on everybody.
Yes.
So, but that must mean that like your full time season is during the week, like you've got all the funerals and everything, so it's like a constantly busy cycle. Yes. Whereas for some people that are just in the Sprinter van game, for example, that's a big thing that people like doing nowadays, is taking a Sprinter van with some friends and go and do something, whether it be a party bus or just a plain Sprinter van. That's their ideal mode of transportation now, is getting 10, 15 people in a van and going, but they don't have that week-to-week operations like you would.
Right. That's correct. Yeah. I have some wonderful customers that are regulars with my 14-passenger bus, and they get groups together and go to concerts in Lafayette and New Orleans, and they send me a couple dates and just book because they just say that's the way to go. It's so much safer and cheaper than renting hotels in New Orleans and parking. And when they rent the bus, they're able to take off, have lots of fun. Nobody has the worry of driving, and then they're all back home in their own beds to their kids and their dogs and everything else, and get to wake up at home. So I have quite a bit of regular customers, which is wonderful.
Oh yeah, the bus game or the Sprinter game, whichever one people prefer, that getting a group of people together to go do an event or go to a concert is like the best thing for the money that is possible. Like we were talking about this last week before we recorded with Barrett and our past guest, that the Sprinter game for like Mardi Gras is just, you don't have to worry about parking.
Yes.
You don't have to worry about going to and from. And then the amount that they would charge you for a hotel room,
that's right,
nowhere comes near the amount that you got to pay for a Sprinter van or even your bus.
Yes.
That the fact that everybody's splitting it up.
That's
it's
right.
Like, why not be safe and sleep in your own bed?
Yes.
So get a bus or something
That's
like that.
right. I already have a reservation for Mardi Gras next year. They called too late and said, okay, I want to go. I know I want to book. I want to use your services. When is it too early? Can I go ahead and book? We already know the date of our ball. Here's the date. Let's go ahead and reserve it now for next year.
Oh yeah. And y'all's bus is quite nice.
Yes,
I saw some pictures. It is not like a school bus.
That's right.
It is a luxury bus.
So it is. So what's different about my bus as opposed to a Sprinter is a Sprinter, most of them have a J-shaped seat or an L-shaped seat. And so somebody is riding backwards, somebody's riding sideways. There are certainly seatbelts in those vehicles, but they're not really accessible. My seats are forward facing. Safety is very important to me and my customers, and I do like them to be able to buckle up. And so my bus is perfect for that trip to New Orleans, that trip to, Lafayette, something when you're on the road, you're on the highway, you don't want to be riding sideways or backwards, and you want the safety and the security of being able to buckle up safely. So I have a lot of customers who really appreciate the safety aspect that I have. A lot of people, parents will like to put their kids in it for prom and whatever else, because they like the idea of their kids buckled and safe and not, standing up and walking around in a vehicle on the interstate.
Yeah, because that can get kind of squirrely. in traffic,
Yeah.
especially if it's raining.
Right.
You know, as Baton Rouge people, we're great at driving in the rain.
Right. Yes.
So when deciding to go to college out of state with a business that is 7 generations deep, how did your family take that?
Yeah, so there were some mixed emotions about that. Southern Miss is in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, so it's close enough, but it's far enough away. So
Get some privacy.
it's only 2.5, 3 hours away, and so there wasn't any time to drop in as a visitor. You know, you'd have to plan that out, and so I could still get the independence that I was looking for and grow. But I could still come home and cry to mom and dad on the weekend if I needed to. It was just the perfect mix of being close enough but far enough.
Yeah, you could have that delicate balance of going home on the weekends if
Yes.
you wanted to,
That's right.
but still feeling that independent element of I'm away from home, I'm on my own, I got to do me.
Right.
So I lived at home while going to college, so it was a
Yeah.
little bit different of a story there. So what made you want to go out to, I mean, outside of being like, were you targeted for the Sandestin job or did you apply out to Sandestin?
Yes. So there were recruitment fairs that came to Southern Miss, and Sandestin was one of the recruiters that really looked for Southern Miss hospitality management students. Southern Miss had such a great program with all of the casinos on the coast, and
Okay.
hospitality is a huge industry in Mississippi. And so people from all over the country, I mean, big, huge chain restaurants, big resorts would come to Southern Miss to try to recruit their hospitality students.
I had no idea that was a thing.
Yeah.
So it's like a big hospitality program over there in Southern
Yes,
Miss.
it's wonderful.
Interesting. That's pretty cool though. So
Yes.
they were at this career fair and you were like, beach, Sandestin.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah, and I said, this looks great. This could work.
So what was it that you were applying for specifically? Because when people think of like a beach job, they think
Yes.
of, working in the booth on the beach or putting the chairs out. But I'm assuming it's something a little bit more intricate than that.
Right, very far from sitting on the beach. So the program was a manager and training program in their reservations department. And so I started out in a cubicle answering 100 phone calls a day. Thank you for calling Sandestin. This is Kay. How may I assist you? Hundreds of calls, helping people plan their vacations. And after I was in that position for a while, I was promoted to a group reservationist, which was for the conventions. And I didn't deal with, you and your wife coming on vacation anymore. I dealt with a meeting planner who was bringing in hundreds of rooms for the, state bar convention.
Yeah.
And so I moved up to that. And then the next position I was promoted to out there was a property manager. And I had 150 condos on the resort that I managed and was the liaison between the owner of that condo and the resort. And that was really a fantastic job.
So you were like top dog over there.
Well, I don't know about all that, but I had a lot of fun. I worked really hard, played hard too, and it was a great scenario. So my transition into the limousine business.
How long were you at Sandestin first?
About 6 years.
6 years. Okay, so you're
Yeah.
halfway. You're like starting to have a career here at
Yes.
this point,
Yes.
and then like it's
And so people would say, well, how did you go from that? How'd you go from, hotels into limousines? And the transition was really easy and seamless. I went from selling a customer experience in a hotel or a resort just to selling a customer experience in a limousine. And so I just, instead of talking about the amenities that the resort had, I went to talking about the amenities of the limousine of, you don't have to drive and you can rest and you can, have fun and, all those things. So it was a really easy transition to go from selling hospitality to, selling hospitality in a limousine. And I was still in the event circuit. I was still in the hospitality circuit. And so it was a much easier transition than people, thought it was going to be for me.
So when you decided to go take that job in Sandestin, I mean, when we're talking about a family business, and I come from a family business, except not 7 generations. We're 3 generations, so we're not quite that far down the line yet. But there is a lot of expectations
Sure.
of going into the family business
Yes.
before or after college, depending on what line of field you're in, whether you need a college degree or not. It's, we've done this for generations. That's what we expect you to do.
Sure.
When battling those expectations and looking at this job, I mean, what was going through your head when making that decision of not going in the family business immediately? I mean, was there ever a thought that you're always going to end up there, or that was a fallback plan? I mean, just what was that headspace like of battling that?
So I knew that if I were to end up working with the family, I would know when the time was right. And I also knew that they would know when the time is right. And they certainly didn't want to force anyone to work there. Just as no employer wants that. They want, their employees
family
to be,
or not, you got to be happy.
They certainly, want you to be happy and do what you want to do, so that shows to your customers and your clients. And so I knew that when the time came, I would know when it was the right time. And
so like 6 years into it, you said, you know what? I'm done. I've climbed the ladder here.
Yeah.
Let's go back.
And it was really interesting. When I first came to Baton Rouge, something that we did in the hotel business, I'm sure they still do this, is it's called a familiarization tour. And you, as a sales manager, you call other hotels, your competitors, and you introduce yourself, and you go and take a tour. You meet the other sales directors that you're kind of competing against for rooms, and you learn their hotel inside and out. And not only to compete with them, but also really to service your customers, because you can't always please everyone. And you may not have enough rooms at your hotel, and you really need to have a good working relationship with another sales manager at another hotel so that you can keep your group happy and have overflow rooms, or maybe that hotel can offer something to your guests that you don't have. And so I was used to working with other hotels, with other resorts, and just really working together in the hospitality field to keep your clients happy. And so when I came to Baton Rouge, there was another company, and I reached out to them, introduced myself just as I did in my hotel career, and said, hey, I'd love to come by. I'd love to see your fleet and meet some of your drivers and see what you have in the event that I don't have anything to, service my customers with. I'd love to have somebody to refer business to. And the guy wrote me back and said, you just need to go ahead and shut your business down.
Whoa.
And so I was really shocked by that, because I was so used to a different...
It's like open doors all the time, and now they're saying, yep,
I was really shocked by that. And so I took a deep breath and read the email a few times, and it ended up just giving me motivation to work harder, to get the job done, and to continue to try to find other vendors that did want to work with me and that did want my referral business. So I wrote him back and just said, well, I'm not planning on shutting down, but
I'm not going anywhere.
I still would like to, tour your business. And so he said, yeah, sure, you can come at such and such a time on whatever date. I went there. He wasn't there.
Naturally.
And one of his kind chauffeurs kind of showed me around, and that was fine. And so where that it didn't do to me what he thought it was going to do, and it just motivated me even more. And I'll say, fast forwarding 15 years from that moment, one of my limousines is in the shop right now, and I'm having trouble finding a part. Another transportation company, has taken my car into their space, and they're helping me to track down the parts to fix it.
Oh, that's
so
incredible.
It's incredible to think of how far I've come from, someone telling me I just needed to go ahead and shut down, to another owner of a transportation business saying, we're going to help you. We're going to get you back on the ground. Your car is safe in my shop. You can park it over here until we can get those parts. And I got a few ideas of some things that I can help you. And so I think if you keep trying, if you keep looking for the right people, you're going to find them. And that's something that my father always instilled in me in business and in personal matters. He'd say, if you're doing the right thing for the right reasons, the right thing is going to happen.
Yeah.
And so I've just always tried to stay true to that and to always do the right thing for the right reasons and keep looking for what it is that I'm looking for.
100%. So I'm assuming that the business that's helping you now is not the same original person
No.
that told you to go ahead and
No,
shut
it
your
is
doors.
not. It is not. It is not. But to me, there's enough transportation needs in this town for everybody.
And that's what I was about to ask was, looking back, you said it was 15 years ago roughly. Do you think that the ecosystem and the landscape of the transportation business, the personal private transportation business, has evolved to the level where people are more open to be collaborative?
I
or
do.
was it just that business in
I
particular?
do, and I'll tell you what made the industry more collaborative, and that's when Uber came to town.
Oh, yeah. Now we got a different giant.
Yes.
We got a battle.
So then that really made the transportation businesses really kind of come together and work together because of that service. Now, as a whole, I think Uber is a wonderful thing. It gets people where they need to go. There are studies that show, I guess DWIs have really gone down since they kind of came into the game. But when they first did, the problem with Uber was the regulations. They were not regulated as much as me and my fellow transportation companies were. And so it's just taken a while through the years to get on more of a level playing field as far as what's, chauffeur
Insurance,
background checks,
licenses.
insurance, licensing.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a tremendous gap in kind of what Uber was doing, being framed as a like a tech business and an app and not a transportation business. And so it's taken a while to get all of that to work together. But now I think that we're more in a happy median space of that. And plus, my customers are not really Uber customers anyway, because they're planning for a big event and they want a reservation and they want to, or have, a limousine in their pictures, or they want all their group together on my bus or, something of that nature. So, but all that has really worked its way out.
Yeah. So on the Uber space, what was running? I mean, because I'm sure you, like with this business helping you with your limo, I'm sure there's some collaboration between transportation companies about things they're seeing in the industry, trends they're seeing. Whenever Uber came on the scene, what kind of discussions were y'all having as a transportation community behind the doors? Like, what were y'all saying about this app coming in that people were picking up their phone? I got a 2016, Nissan Altima. I can drive people.
Sure.
Like, what was going through your head at the time? And did y'all have collaboration between fellow competitors and organizations about, guys, this is going to be a big disruption?
Sure.
What,
Yes.
What was happening?
Sure. And so in Baton Rouge, it wasn't as much of a disruption as it was in the bigger cities. And some big cities wouldn't allow them to come in because it was too much of a disruption. It was too much of a problem, and all the transportation companies were losing their drivers because the drivers were going to be, independent contractors and work for themselves. And so some of the big cities, I would say, they had many more problems with it than we did in Baton Rouge, just being, a small town. There wasn't as much of a need for it. But as far as the limousine groups that I was a part of nationwide, they really had all of the, problems and difficulties and licensings and stuff that they had to work out with those bigger markets.
Okay. And so have you seen people I know you said your customers in particular aren't necessarily the Uber drivers, but like, did you ever have any airport trips that people would request your services for?
Sure. And I still do. I still do airport trips, not as many as I used to, not to Baton Rouge. I don't do local transfers to the Baton Rouge airport, but I still do them for New Orleans, because especially groups that are going on cruises. I get a lot of groups in my 14 passenger because they have a lot of luggage and I have a big luggage space. So really it's more New Orleans airport trips that I make. I don't make any to the Baton Rouge airport because it's just so easy with Uber.
Well, and we're planning a trip in the next couple of weeks to go to the Glacier National Park and then to Banff. And so we've got me, my wife, and my little one, and then my in-laws. And so like we've got 5 sets of luggage, plus we've got to take a car seat.
Yes.
We've got to take a stroller.
Yes.
We've got to take a backpack carrier for the hiking. So like we've got all this extra luggage.
Yes.
And when looking at our options of paying to park your car at the airport versus getting transportation via Uber, or we're looking at, well, what is a private transportation service going to be?
Sure.
You know, and exploring those routes. Because for Uber, to get all of us in the same vehicle to get to the Baton Rouge airport is challenging.
Sure.
Because you don't know, if I say an Uber XL or an Uber XL Black, whatever it is, I need the biggest car. You don't know if it's going to be a, Ford Explorer or just a Jeep Grand Cherokee that may not be able to fit all of us and a car seat and our luggage.
Sure.
So it's like we need a different mode of transportation. So for the single person, I'm going by myself. I'm flying from Baton Rouge to wherever. Yeah, it makes sense to use an Uber, but still to have all that luggage, it's like, no, we need an alternative mode of transportation to get us there. So that's what we're using, is a different transportation method of getting in there without having that Uber factor. But like you said, in the bigger cities, it's disrupting everything.
Right.
And so for here, it's people are still looking for that element of, I want something fancy. I want something to have that limousine picture. And with Supper Club, I mean, have y'all seen people start coming in and getting limousines to go to Supper Club for dinner on the weekends?
Sure. We haven't had any reservations for Supper Club yet. Primarily, it's when people go to dinner in St. Francisville. I have a lot of limousines and bus reservations that go to the St. Francisville Inn. That's kind of a hip spot right now. That's another thing that's really super fun with this business, is I always am kind of the first to know of what's the popular place and what's on the up and up, because people don't want to drive there. They want to be chauffeured there and have a good time. So that's always fun. So I will say I have quite a few reservations that are going out to St. Francisville right now.
So what about for sports seasons, for football games and everything? Do y'all see kind of traffic start picking up and usage start picking up for that?
Yeah, we do. And in fact, I'm talking with a gentleman right now who may want to just go ahead and book the whole season for his business. And so that would be great for me. Corporate customers like that just want to get it taken care of, know that we're going to take care of it, know we're going to pick them up at the same spot every game day, drop them off at the same spot. They can entertain their clients, have them there. And I'm looking forward to a football season.
Oh yeah, I think everybody
this year is going to be great. It's going to be a good season. It's going to be a lot of fun.
So when you came into the business, they were separating how the cars were going to be and going to different funeral homes at that time. You've been with 3 cars for the entire 15 years, or have you dwindled it or increased the?
So I currently have 2 limousines and a bus and a Yukon, and I'm just 1 limousine short from where I started.
Okay.
So it's great. I have a really fabulous customers. Almost all of my business is word of mouth, which is great. And it's fun. It's a fun business to be in, especially with a kid at home, and to be able to work from home. Being a working mom is a whole nother
How is that?
ball game. It's been interesting this summer. Every time my little boy turns the corner into my office, he's got some different costume on and is excited about something, and I kind of have to, just a minute, I'm working. And but so when the phone's not ringing and I'm not making reservations, I get to go and jump in the fun with him. And even this week he said, "Mama, I'm so happy you work from home." And I said, "I'm happy too. I'm happy too."
That work from home shift has been a blessing for most.
Yeah.
To be able to be at the house, take care of things, whether it's a mother at home or a father at home. It's been that I'm home, I can take care of the kids if need be and still get the work done.
Yes.
I mean, I know that's just been a huge help, especially for people in your position where you can answer calls wherever.
That's right.
You can book trips wherever. You don't have to go into the office to settle things.
That's right.
And get everything booked up. So it's kind of convenient.
Yes, it's great. It is wonderful.
So are you at the point where with somebody booking a vehicle for all of football season, has that thought of maybe we need to start adding more vehicles kind of crept up? Because you're one shy of where you started.
Yeah.
Has that been explored, or are you we're happy with where we're at?
Yeah, I'm happy with where I'm at. I'm not saying I won't add a vehicle in the future, but for now, it's just kind of, it's the sweet spot of just what I can handle. It's kind of just right where it is. And as my little boy gets a little older, he's 8, he's going into the 3rd grade. And as he gets older, he won't need as much of my attention. And so, I should be able to add something should I want to do that in the future.
And I think that element and that ability to recognize where I'm at in my business is good. Mm-hmm. We don't need to have hyper growth.
Yes.
Where we're at and able to maintain is a good thing. Entrepreneurs may always want to say, what's that next level, that next peak, or that next elevation we can get to continue to grow it. And that's all fine and dandy. But having that self-awareness of, no, where we're at now is good.
Yeah.
We it's manageable.
Yes.
We can control it. And we have that balance, that element of not working too much, but also not being able to work because there's not enough work coming in. It's a controlled growth and saying, look, we can grow at our own pace. And right now in my life, this is where I need to be. I need to be with this many vehicles in my fleet. And because I know it takes this amount of time to work each day and plan everything out. And I think that is something that a lot of entrepreneurs maybe don't talk enough about.
Sure.
Is that level of, we're good where we're at. Mm-hmm. We don't need to go and double or triple the fleet in order for us to be happy, because we want that balance.
Yes.
Because you lose it's either you have the balance or you'll lose it for the company. Mm-hmm. And it's tough. So what has that been like for you? I mean, has that been part of how you balance your work-life situation, is making sure that you're growing what you can handle?
Yeah, I definitely have, particularly over the past a year or two, just to stay right at what I can handle, because my husband was working on starting a business, getting a business together, Currency Bank. And so most of our growth and focus growing businesses right now in our family has been on his business. And I definitely have had to keep my business right where it is in order to support him in his growth and his business.
Yeah, and it's that give and take within a relationship.
That's right.
Kind of, you both got to be upfront and open and have lots of discussions about the decisions being made in the household.
That's right. And he's supercharged about growing his business. I always tell people that he reminds me of Jackie Chan.
Okay.
that move that he does when he's on his back and kind of flips to his feet really fast. That's what Scott looks like getting out of bed in the morning. He's so excited and so charged up to get up and go to work and grow his bank and grow his business, that it's been really cool to watch. It's been cool to watch him as an entrepreneur and know how he wanted to build his business, who he was going to build it with, and the customers that he wanted to go after. It's just been amazing to watch his growth and him grow a business, which is inspiring to me for my business whenever my turn rolls back around to be able to grow mine. It's been really cool to watch him grow his.
What's the dynamic of a dual entrepreneurship household? How is that?
Yeah, so it's interesting. Scott asks me a lot of marketing questions, and which is cool, and I'm able to ask him numbers questions about setting my rates, or with the gas prices going up and how much do I need to increase my rates. So it's really cool because our kind of specialties in our business is both very different. And so we're able to play off of each other, the numbers game that I need from him and the hospitality marketing side that he needs from me. It's a real good ebb and flow of us talking about our businesses back and forth.
Yeah, you get to bounce off ideas and say, hey,
yes,
let's try this. What have you run up into this? Because you've been in this industry for 15 plus years now, and he's just at the point where the bank is just starting. So he's been in banking for however long he's been in, but it's at the point now where he's running the show.
Right, but in the role that he's in.
Yeah,
right.
Within his role, it's like, okay, we have to run this thing now. So it's different than being an employee. Now he's like, oh, I'm an owner.
Right, right.
It's a shift.
That's right. It is a shift.
So it's good that you have that collaborative ability of saying, oh, no, I've done this and I've done that, and able to bounce off the ideas.
Yeah.
So when you came back from the Sandestin and you did your interview, by the way, I think it's hysterical, the fact that they interviewed you.
They did.
Like
and it was a serious interview. I mean, they asked me very serious interview questions.
Well, and I think that element of a family business is important to have something formal like that, because if not, the employees they could have the possibility of building a resentment
Sure.
towards somebody coming in.
Absolutely.
Because you've been, at their eyes,
Right.
you've been a beach bum for the
That's
last
right.
6 years.
Right. Who is this girl?
Who
they
is this
they
girl?
have no idea everything that I was doing at the resort. Who is this girl coming in? And there was something that my grandfather told me that really, really stuck with me when I first started at Pro Limo. We had a little chat in his office, and he told me how excited he was to finally have me back home and on the team, and that he hoped that I would eventually do more with the business, AKA be a funeral director.
That's right.
That's really why we've recruited you here.
Pro Limo's your foot in the door.
Right, your foot in the door, but we'd like you to do more. And he said, what you need to do is make sure that your employees know that they do not work for you, that you work with them. And I always made that my mission and still do, to know that. And I've got 5 or 6 chauffeurs that have been with me over 10 years. And
That's
so
incredible.
I think that I have kept to my promise to him and taken that advice seriously, for them to know that I am working absolutely with them. I help them get the cars ready. When I have the opportunity, I'll wash the cars, vacuum the cars. They'll come ride by my house, and I'll jump in and throw balloons in for a birthday that I've blown up, and help them decorate, and help them be in contact with their customers. And so that's just something I've really always tried my best to do, is know for my employees to know that I'm working with them.
Yeah, and with any business, if you come in, you've got to have that mentality.
Right.
You've got to have that mindset of, I'm here with you.
Right.
You're
It
not
takes
working
us all.
for me. It's
Right.
all of us.
It's not the K show.
Oh, gosh.
No, it's certainly not.
It's getting everything in order, in a row, and it takes a community
Yes.
to grow a business and to sustain a business for 15 years. I mean, that's not something everybody can accomplish, is maintaining a business for that long. But also, like, within the family dynamic, it's so easy to go in and out of the business because it's family, right? And everybody, you got to, when your family says, hey, look, I'm going to go and try my own thing. Yep, go try your own thing. And when they come back, yep, come on back.
Come on back.
Here's your
Sure.
position. But it takes the ability and the self-awareness to know, okay, I can't just come in and be, I'm the boss, I'm the owner.
Right.
You're gonna do what I say, and that's gonna be it. It's got to be that. No, I'm here with you. We're all in this together. I will wash cars, clean cars, whatever it may take. I'm here for it. I'm not just the daughter or the granddaughter. And
Right.
I'm just coming into the business.
That's right.
Because there is that. I think within family businesses, the employees can have that resentment if you've been gone out of the picture for so long and they've been there. Especially the ones that, if you've been gone for 6 years and they've been working for 8, and you come back in and you're like, all right, I'm your manager now.
Right.
Like, what happened?
Yeah.
It's not easy coming back into the picture.
Yeah.
So how has the family dynamic been with passing on that generational step of the funeral homes within your family?
So my father is looking forward to giving more responsibility to our younger generation. And we'll see what happps.
How many of y'all are there?
In the funeral home, my brother works there, and 2 of my first cousins.
Okay. So three of y'all. Okay. And so do they?
And then me being kind of the outlier 4th person that just does the transportation side.
So how is the sibling and cousin dynamic? Have they been like, how did you score that K?
Yeah, so they probably are still wondering that, how that worked out. But no, they know it's a good fit for me in the position that I'm in, and they're happy for me.
So now, will your son move into the family business?
Right. I don't think so. I don't think so. Kind of the world is his oyster right now. He currently wants to be a historian, but the ones that are on TV, he told me,
Okay.
on him and my husband watch snippets from The Men That Built America. And
Okay.
when, they have the scenes of what was going on, and then the historian comes on to give his take and his explanation of what has happened, that's what he would like to be. He'd like to be sort of the historian narrator on television.
That is quite a focused lens.
Yes.
Of someone.
Yes, he's
at
very
that
focused.
age.
He gets it from his father, not from me. Scott's focus, he definitely got that from him for sure.
So have you ever picked him up in a limo from like school?
I did for the first time this year.
Oh, just this is
I
the first
did
time?
for the first time this year on the last day of school.
Okay.
I picked him up in a limo and several of his friends, and they were super excited. It was adorable, and they loved it. And so, I mean, I can't, spoil that kid too much. He helps me though. My little boy, he'll help me clean on a busy weekend. When all the cars are going out, I bring him with me. He helps me clean the tires. He wipes the floors and the seats and everything. He is going to learn just like I did from an early age. You got to earn your keep, especially in a family business.
Oh my gosh.
So, yeah, but he's been to dinner with us in the limos, and, we super fun stuff to New Orleans. We do a little family tradition every year where we go to the Polar Express and we take a limo to dinner and to the Polar Express, and something he looks forward to every year.
Right.
And so that's really kind of our tradition in the limo, is something special around Christmas time that we do as a family.
Well, and I think building in that responsibility element
Yes.
of we don't just get this.
That's right.
We have to earn it. We have to work for it. And those weekends of, nope, we can't go do X, Y, and Z activity you wanted to do. We've got to go and actually work on the cars and get them
Yes.
prepped for the week like that. Teaching that understanding of responsibility of, this is not just something that mom and dad show up with.
Right.
They actually work for it, and then like, wipe this down, clean this and that. It's like it's teaching them the lessons of an honest day's work, and that
That's right.
it's required from everybody, regardless of who you are or who your parents are. You got to work for it.
That's right.
So I think that's powerful.
Yeah, it's really cool. And it's been fun being able to work from home and my little boy to see me wear so many different hats in a day. Going from a funeral to then getting a car ready for a bachelorette party, is quite a bit of a shift. So, for him to see me, shift to wearing so many different hats in a day has been a really cool thing to be able to share that with him.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it opens up his mind to being whatever it is he wants to be. 'Cause
Yeah.
mom and daddy or whatever they want to
be. Yeah, for sure.
So I think that's really cool. All right. Well, as we start to kind of wind down the show, we have like a set list of questions we like to ask everybody. They're very, very hard hitting, very challenging questions that are just tough to get through.
Okay.
So we'll just start nice and easy.
Okay.
What is something you did as a kid you wish you could still do today?
Eat macaroni all day and not gain any weight. How's that for starters?
That's perfect. There is an element of eating anything you want that is lost with adulthood.
Right.
It's lost quickly.
Yes.
You can't just eat whatever you want. Your body's like, you can do it.
Yeah, you can't
It
do
may
that
not
so
end well
much.
for you. Okay, so within your career, you've done a lot. You've been to a university out of state, which Scott told me not to hold against you. You've been to Sandestin and worked your way up that ladder, then coming back and running a business for the last 15 years and growing it to what it is today while raising a child. You've probably learned a lot of lessons along the way. So what are 3 lessons you've gathered over the course of your career?
3 lessons?
3 lessons.
That one's too hard.
That one's too hard?
If you could have emailed me that in advance, that would have been great. And then I could have come up with a very philosophical, powerful
It doesn't need
answer.
to be philosophical
yeah.
or powerful. Just what have you learned doing this business?
You got to work hard.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I've learned more than anything. Sometimes when, I guess, people that you see in their career, they're doing really well, or, they have all these accolades. They worked hard for them. They worked really hard for them. And if you want to keep your business going, you got to work hard for it.
Yeah, it doesn't come free and easy.
Right. That's right.
You've got to put in the hours. I mean, I think the fact of you bringing your son with you to clean cars on a weekend goes to show that when you're an entrepreneur and you're running your own business, you don't get the luxury of saying, "I'll call in on Monday."
Mm-hmm.
You know,
that's right.
I'm out.
For sure. That's. I'll tell you. Speaking of calling in on Monday, because I have been a one-woman show for so long, so much responsibility falls on my shoulder. I mean, I remember, giving birth to my son, coming home 2 days later and sitting doing the payroll.
What?
Yeah. And so, when all of that falls on you, it doesn't matter if you've just had a kid or if you've just had surgery or whatever the case is, the show must go on. Now, I've certainly have had people that, have stepped in for a week or two to help me answer the calls or reservations, when I've had a big life event happen. But ultimately, all the responsibility of my business falls on my shoulders.
Yeah, you're the owner. You're the buck stops here.
Yeah, it does.
And so you can't pass it on to somebody else, and that's just a part of being a business owner, being an entrepreneur. It's on you.
That's right. It's on me.
And you have to figure out how to deal with the rest of your life.
That's right.
Outside of working hours.
Yes.
So what is something you love about Baton Rouge?
Okay, so there's quite a few things.
Hit me with them.
Okay, that I love. First, I'm going to talk about the restaurant circuit because I'm really into food.
Okay.
So Zorba's, it's a Greek restaurant.
Barrett's
we
getting
got a high five. Somebody else knows about this in the studio.
Yeah,
okay,
Barrett knows about it. Okay,
Zorba's.
What's a Zorba's?
Zorba's is this fabulous family-owned, and that's another reason why I have a soft spot for them because they're a family-owned business. And it's this little Greek bistro that is an absolute dream on Essen Lane. I know they've had a couple of locations in town through the years, but that's the only one that I know about. So if you're looking for Greek food, if you're looking to feel like family, Zorba's is the place to go.
Okay.
Gino's. God love it. God love it. It's like sometimes I think that's what heaven might be like. Sitting in Gino's is like, sitting next to Jesus. It's just it's gotta be. I love Gino's, and then I love Tsunami as well. So, that's kind of like my 3 go-to favorites. You end in a vowel. Your restaurant. The high chance you're gonna find me there. It's automatically gonna be good. And so those are 3 restaurants that I love about Baton Rouge. What else?
I don't know, Barrett. We need to pull that Geno's clip. Eating at Geno's, like eating next to Jesus.
Yeah, it is.
That's the tagline. Yeah. Eating next to Jesus.
It is. It's true. It's true. I speak the truth.
So you love the food.
Yes.
What else is it about Baton Rouge? You said
about Baton Rouge that I love. I love the LSU lakes, and
which are getting a facelift.
Thank goodness. We live close to the LSU lake, so we're able to just kind of take a little jaunt and walk around them, walk our dog in the evenings. And it's amazing to me that being in the middle of the city and all of the nature that is there, all the birds that are there, and more birds that will be there as the lakes, get fixed up. But I love the LSU lakes. That's another great thing about Baton Rouge. I also love my church, Sacred Heart Church. It's a great place in Baton Rouge. And I love my high school that I went to in Baton Rouge, St. Joseph's Academy.
St. Joseph's.
Oh, great place.
My wife went there.
Oh, it's wonderful. The community there is a lifelong community. You don't just go to school there and then you leave. I'm in an alumni group and was talking with some alumni today. I need a new website, and I've got someone geared up. We've been messaging each other all day because I want to do business, with an alum and a female who owns her own business. And so it's just super cool to be able to continue to network with people that you went to high school with. When I went to college, people didn't have that with their high schools. They're like, oh, got to get out of there, or oh, I'm so happy to see that go. And that's not really what they build at the academy. They build it as a lifelong thing. So I love St. Joseph's Academy, and there's a group of volunteers right now. Another thing that I love is this Stormwater Coalition group that's working really hard to clean up the litter and the storm drains and get all of that working better, which is something our community needs so desperately. And I'm really proud of that group that's getting that together, and I hope to be involved with them in the future. But that's something that I'm really loving about Baton Rouge right now, is citizens stepping up to the plate and getting their own groups together to get some of the big jobs done.
Yeah, I mean, they've got quite a few in the Baton Rouge area doing like litter patrol and garbage
wonderful.
cleanup. You've got Keep Baton Rouge Beautiful,
Yes.
or no, Keep Tigertown Beautiful, and then you've got Clean Pelican and some other
Clean
groups
all of that is
are
just
doing
so
stuff that are
wonderful.
amazing.
It's amazing. So that makes me proud
Oh yeah,
and happy for Baton Rouge.
people taking control and saying this is our city.
Yeah, we've
Let's
got to do
make
something
let's make
about
right.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for the final question, what can I do to help you?
Well, you can start by booking your family trip transportation to Banff. I've got lots of luggage space for you. We can talk. I'll email you a quote tomorrow. How's
Perfect.
that?
That's perfect.
Okay.
I need some alternative transportation
right.
methods.
I'll hook you up.
Well, thank you so much, Kay, for coming on the show. What is the easiest way for people to get a hold of you, whether it's to book a transportation with you or just to learn a little bit more about what you do?
Yeah, sure. So you can give me a call, 225-344-0022, or you can shoot me an email. That works too, kay@prolimo.com. Those are the best ways to get me.
Love it. That's the second person to put their phone number on the show. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Well, Kay,
It's a good number.
It is a good look. That 225. I love me some 225 area codes.
Yeah, that's great.
So thank you so much, Kay, for coming on the show.
Thank you for having
me. I had
me.
a blast learning about your business, and that there's a lot more to the beach than just being a beach bum.
That's right. There's a lot to learn out there.
So thank you so much for coming on, and thank you everybody else for tuning in, whether you are listening to us or you're watching us. I really appreciate you continuing to follow the show, and I know the guests do as well. If you are looking for a transportation method that is an alternative to Uber, or you want something to do a little more classiness with your event, make sure you give Pro Limo a shout and check out all the things they have to offer within their fleet. They'll be sure to take care of you from the start to the very end. And thank you so very much to the wonderful sponsors that make this show possible each and every week, coming to you live with their help. You're going to hear a little bit more about them right now. Thank you all so very much for listening to this episode of the Patty G Show, brought to you by Government Taco. They're located on the corner of Government Street and Jefferson Highway. Jay is always slinging up a new taco of the month, so if you're a frequenter to Government Taco, let us know in the comments what you thought about this month's taco of the month. If you're not a frequenter, maybe trying out this month's taco might just convert you. Big thanks over to them at Government Taco for making the Patty G Show possible.
Sell your home for a $399 flat fee with Falaya. No, seriously. Falaya will list your home on the MLS and help you get all the way to the closing table for as little as a $399 flat fee. Our online platform is insanely easy to use and will save you thousands. If you're thinking about selling your home in 2022 and want to keep more of your hard-earned equity in your pocket, you need to check out Falaya. Falaya, real estate reimagined.
Thank you to Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge for making this show possible. Nick Pentis is a past guest. We love having him on. Listening to him talk about the culture they have over at Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge is really an incredible thing to hear. How they treat not only their employees, but every customer that walks through the door. You are more than just a number to them. They're going to give you that white glove concierge service every step of the way. They're going to make you feel like family and take what can be a stressful time in people's life, shopping for a car. They're going to make it so enjoyable and so pleasurable. You're going to want to go back there time and time again for every new vehicle. Thank you so very much for Mercedes-Benz of making this show possible. Thank you so very much to Mallard Bay Outdoors, the Airbnb for the outdoor sportsman. If you're looking to book a hunt or a fishing trip, this is the platform to use. They were a past guest of the Patty G Show. We got to learn all about what they're doing from the ground up. They are really revolutionizing the booking process for hunts and fish all across the country for your next hunting or fishing experience, or maybe your corporate retreat. You're looking for something to do for your employees? Book a hunt or a fishing trip with Mallard Bay Outdoors, and they will take care of you every step of the way, from organizing it with the guides and the captains to making sure you can take care of them at the end of the trip. Mallard Bay Outdoors, a proud sponsor of the Patty G Show.
Imagine taxiing on a plane looking toward the end of the runway. It seems so far away, it's even hard to see it. And that's what the concept of retirement probably felt like when you were in your 20s, 30s, and 40s, way far in the distance, not visible or even a concern. But as you turn 50, something happens. Retirement suddenly seems like something real, something not too far away. In your 50s, you are rolling down the runway. Retirement is getting closer and closer, faster and faster, weeks and months zipping by. But are you even ready for a successful takeoff to retirement? Fear not, there's still runway left. But the time is now. Time to make progress and time to get a plan. The Runway Decade will help you get organized, get energized, and give you the direction you need to take off to your desired retirement. The Runway Decade, building a pre-retirement flight plan in your 50s.
Thank you so very much to Currency Bank, a proud sponsor of the Patty G Show. If you are looking for a business bank that fosters on 3 core values, relationships, service, and technology, Currency Bank is the place for you. They pride themselves on convenient, accessible, and secure online banking resources where you can manage your account balances, initiate transfers, enroll with e-statements, and more via their online portal. Between the relationships, the service, and the technology, they are going to be that partner with your business every step of the way, regardless of what you need. Currency Bank is the bank for business owners.